So the first thing that we are going to cover is programming a part and some basic terminology. So the entities are referred to each segment within a line or an arc defined as a solid geometry between 2 points. So if you look at our little fish here, you can see the small little circles. Those are entities. Your endpoints they have 2 points, your start and your finish. And they appear white on your screen. And then you have 5 different qualities that you can choose from. One being the quickest and 5 being the slowest. And again, that's quality 1. You're not going to see as fine of a cut because it's cutting quicker, and a quality 5 you will, and it'll cut slower. Path elements consist of lead-in and lead-outs, traverses, and the part of the geometry. Lead-in and lead-outs are pierce entities and cut exit points. So that's the points that you're going to start cutting, and it's going to stop cutting with the sacrificial material so that it doesn't damage the part. Your traverses are the lines or arcs where the nozzle moves, but it's not cutting, so it's traveling from one point to another without cutting your part. There's a link.
I'm going to have to stop here just a second. The audio is choppy, and I'm going to try something here to see if this will help. What I did is I muted everybody automatically, but I'm going to go ahead and try and unmute. Let's see. So at this point, I'm going to ask if a few of the folks that had some issues with hearing before, if they could send in via chat. If you can hear my voice at this point, this is Dave Fuller. Okay. Looks like it's still kind of riding on an ocean here. It's choppy to some folks, but looks like y'all can hear me at this point. So there's a function that allows us to mute, but I'm not going to activate that. So if y'all can mute from your end, that'd be much appreciated. And we'll go ahead and start over. And what we're going to do, folks, is we're going to repeat some of the information that we presented in the last webinar and then add some additional tips. Okay, turn over to Jessica. And I'm going to put Jessica on mute here.
Okay, so first we're going to start with just basic terminology. Your entities refers to each segment within a line or arc and defined as a solid geometry between 2 points. So on the little fish right here, you're going to see the tiny little circles make up your entities. Your endpoints are entities that are your line or your arcs that have 2 endpoints. Again, if we mute any microphones, please?
Yeah, we have a few more folks that haven't quite muted. That'd be much appreciated.
Your quality, you have the ability to assign a 1 through 5 quality, 5 being the slowest, but having the most defined cut quality, and 1 being the quickest, and it may not have you may have to do some finishing on it, but it will cut quicker. And then path elements consist of lead-in and lead-outs, traverses, and the part geometry. Your lead-in and your lead-outs are pierce entities that cut from the start point and the end point without damaging. You always want to set those at your end of the material that you're going to lose. And then your traverses are the green lines that are moving the nozzle but not actually cutting. So right now we're going to go into some topics that we're going to cover here. We're going to assign some qualities. We're going to clean. We're going to do lead in and lead out traverses. I'm going to show you how to post. And then there are a couple things that we're going to show you. We just are getting ready to launch the new Etch feature. And we're also going to quickly cover the ability to nest without having the nest function available. So basically, in order to assign a cut quality, you're going to choose a quality. And let's open our layout. So in order to assign a cut quality, you're going to go in. And right now, I just drew up previously a box with a circle. And whenever you start a new drawing, it's always going to draw your lines in a green line. Then you have to assign a quality. So in order to do that, you're going to go to Quality tab down here at the bottom. We're going to start with 3. 3's right in the middle. It's usually our go-to quality. You're going to select it just by clicking on it. And then you're going to go in and select the lines that you want a quality 3. Another way to do this, a quick way to do this, is say you want the entire part to be a quality 3. On your keyboard, you can press the letter Q, the letter A, and press the number 3, and that assigns a quality 3 to the entire part. Now, if you wanted to assign, okay, I want my circle to be really defined, and I'm going to assign it a quality 5. So I'm going to go select the quality tab, select number 5, and click on my circle. So now I have the quality. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to assign some lead ins and lead outs and your traverses. So the easiest way to do this is we actually have a auto path for you, and it's right here on the bottom left corner. And you can configure your settings by right clicking it and say auto path advance and configure. Or you can just do the pre-assigned. I've adjusted this a little bit. So right now for auto configuration for advanced settings, the green little triangle right here indicates that my lead in is going to start at the bottom left, and my lead out is going to start at the end at the bottom right. Now you can change it so you can end at the bottom top, left or right, wherever you want. You can have it ending in the middle. It's whatever preference you have. Currently I have it going starting at the bottom and will end at the right. And then you just hit go and it auto pass for you. The next thing we're going to do is we've got to save our file. And you can assign it to whatever you want. Keep in mind, wherever you save this file, it's going to save your OMX file in the same location. And your OMX file is generated once we post it, and it goes to a file for your make software. So typically what we like to do is we like to clean the part to make sure that there's no gaps, there's nothing within our part. So if you click clean, we've got some preset settings that typically work for most of what you're going to need. You can always adjust them to your specific use. But for our use, I'm just going to leave them as is. You're going to hit start, and then it's going to tell you how many entities were determined, if there were any gaps, any duplicates, anything that didn't belong in that drawing. It's going to take care of that for you, and you're going to hit OK. Keep in mind, now we get this a lot with people calling in and saying they've cleaned their part, and now when they go to post it, it's all messed up and they have no idea what went wrong. You have to clean your part before you sign an auto path to it. So I went ahead and did an auto path first, or sign my lead in and lead outs if you do it manually. And then I cleaned it. Well, it deleted my lead in and lead outs because it thought that that wasn't a part of my drawing. If you got more complex drawings, it's going to throw up some errors when you go to clean it, because it's going to think that you really don't want that in there when you really do. So keep caution when you clean your parts, because the machine's thinking you want one thing when you really want a different thing. So here I'm going to remove, if you click on auto path, you right click it and you choose erase lead in and lead outs. You'll start back to square one. Now what I want to do is I want to clean this part before I assign my traverses and lead in and lead outs. So I'm going to go clean, and I'm going to leave it configured the way it is, and I'm going to hit start. Now it's going to tell me that there was one unnecessary dot removed and everything else looked great. Keep in mind your end points, the less you have, the quicker your part will cut. So now that my part's cleaned up and we're ready to go, I can auto path. And it looks the way I want. Once your part is the way you want it, you can go in and hit post. And you have to choose what endpoint you're going to start from. Because of our auto path configuration, I chose that I want to start it on the left-hand side. So you have to choose the end of that green line, and you can just click on it.
Just a question. There's a question. Only use clean before lead in and lead out.
Correct. Are you guys still having problem hearing?
We've got a couple people said they can't hear. We do need everybody to try to mute. There's a couple of folks that haven't done that. It'd be much appreciated. Just go up to the participant option at the upper left-hand side, right click, and hit mute. That should work for you.
We'll
hear someone's mic. There's a couple folks I may need to go ahead and mute you, but if I mute you, I'll make sure that we send you a recording.
I think you can manually go in and click on the mute. Yeah. The guy who can't hear?
Yeah.
You just muted him? Yeah, so that's probably why he can't hear us. Okay, let's hope that helps. We'll try here. I do apologize if anybody has been unable to hear. Hopefully our recording works and you can go back to the spots that we kind of missed. But again, you have to clean up your part before you assign the lead in and lead outs. If you do not do that, it will delete some of your lead in and lead outs. And if you aren't paying close attention, you're going to think the part's great, and then it's going to miss some components that you really needed. So once we've cleaned everything, we hit the post. It's going to come to this screen here, and this is where it's going to create your OMX file. Now we've got a couple options. Your tool offset is half of your mixing tube, which is 15 thousandths. So it's taking your drawing and configuring it to the 15 thousandths offset. So if you got some sort of arch or something that exceeds that limit, it's going to define it within this parameters. And how you do that is you're going to check for problems. Now this little window is going to pop up and it's going to tell you if there are any possible collisions within your drawing, if you've cut on the wrong side of the part, and if there's too small of a radius for your tool offset. Sometimes there's no way around it. It's going to say there's possible collisions, and that just means you're going over a part that's already been cut, which now has loose material in it. Sometimes it's not that big of a deal, but if you want to make sure to reduce clogging or crashing the nozzle, it's always best to route around components that are already cut. Now, say we like this drawing, we can hit save, because this is our cut file now. So wherever we saved the initial file at, it's going to save that in that exact same location. So for me, I just saved it on my flash drive, so that's where it will be under. Okay, the next thing we're going to cover is the new feature that we're going to have soon released is the etching ability. So again, I don't have it in here. Give me 1 second. I have to open Premium because I have all the layouts in here. It doesn't have etch. I just gotta switch screens. Okay. Shit. Okay, so in order for us to do etching, what you'll have to do is you're going to go into quality and you're going to select the etch tab. And then you assign whatever line you want, and that's the same thing as assigning a quality. Please note that there are some options that I have available on my screen that you will not see, and that's because I've got the industrial size machines software.
Second, folks, we're getting a lot of notifications that the sound has just quit, still no audio, and don't know what happened because everybody indicated that they had heard just a while ago. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unmute everybody. We're going to run a little test here. Everybody now is unmuted. If the folks that couldn't hear before, if they could send in the chat indicating that they can hear. The problem is that now everybody can hear everybody's open mic. So if there's any noise going on in the background, then you can hear it. So that's where it was important for you to individually select views, and I know some of you have done that. And you still could not hear. So if you could still go back and reactivate that, you might get a glitch, and then we'll continue to proceed. Thank you.
We'll give you a couple minutes to find that mute button.
And it should be up again in the participant selection, right click, upper left hand side. At least it is for me. And then select mute.
Hello. All right. So I'll start the etching topic over again. Please keep in mind that you will see some features that are on my software that will not be on yours, and that's because I'm using the industrial software that comes with our larger machines. So keep in mind we are just focusing on the etching and not all the other options I have available. So to assign an etch, you're going to go into the same deal where you go for your quality tab and you'll see etch there. You're going to assign an etch quality and you're just going to simply click on the lines and you'll see that they're going to turn gray.
We just had one of our members shout out to everybody that participated at the bottom center of his screen. So that's another option for folks. We appreciate that. And we have another question about answering a question on cleaning features.
Sure, go ahead.
And we'll get to that towards the end, but we'll continue with the etch feature right now. Bear in mind that etching is coming out within the next couple of weeks as part of a new version of software. And then we'll go ahead and make sure that we make an announcement to everybody that that's available. At this point, it's going through beta testing to select folks. If you'd like to be a beta tester, please let us know. Okay, sorry, go ahead, Jessica.
And then you guys can ask your questions in the chat. We're not ignoring them. We'll answer them at the end. So if you've got anything about cleaning and pathing and stuff like that, we'll make notes of it and then come back to it at the end.
It would definitely be a free download for beta testers.
Okay, so I went ahead and assigned my quality for etching. Your lines are now gray, and it's the same thing. Here, with the ProtoMAX, you've got to assign your speed quality, and your speed quality is going to be from 0, which is going to be cut in the same as you are now, to 100, which is going to zip through, which allows the ability to etch the material. The best material that etching is going to do on the ProtoMAX is metals, hands down. So you're going to go up to X data point, and you're going to, let me back up here. You're going to select a line, and a quick way to select a line is S is for select, and you just click on that line. Say you wanted to assign a data point to everything. Now in this case you would want to remove your lead in and lead outs, but you can always do SA, which is select all, and that selects your entire drawing. And then if you go back up here, you can right click, deselect all. And again, if you can't remember the quick feature, you can go into select, right click it, and you can select all. So X data point, you're going to go in, select the line you want to assign, go into X data point, you're going to edit, and you're going to go in here and choose, it's not on this software. There's going to be an option because it's not released yet. There'll be an option in here, and I believe it's like number 14, and it's going to say assign etch quality speed. You're going to select that, and then you're just going to hit OK. And then it'll assign a little note on this line saying your speed quality is 50 if you had assigned it to a speed quality of 50. Now, if you don't want to muck around with anything and you're okay with a etch quality of 100, then that's your predetermined speed. The thicker the material or the thinner material would determine how much speed you're going to need. The best way to do this to determine before you start cutting on the actual material that you want is get a similar material that's a scrap piece and test your quality etch through there before you waste your good piece. So etching is definitely one of those things that you're going to have to play around with. It isn't a just hit a button and go. You're going to need to have some time with it.
And that would be something that you all will want to come back to us and say, I tried it and it definitely didn't work on this material, or I tried it, here's what I'm trying on a particular material. And we give you some specific recommendations. Our software engineers have gone through and tested on all material types, metals and non-metals, and we've got some hints. So, we definitely want to help you out.
The next thing I'm going to go and do is I'm going to show you how to, per se, nesting. It's more like copying for us because we don't have just a quick button where it's going to nest for us. So we'll go in and manually do this. So we have our drawing all set up the way we want it. And what we're going to do is this drawing is going to exceed my limits for nesting. It's obviously if you're nesting, you're cutting a smaller part. So right here, what we're going to do is we're going to select everything. So SA is select all. Again, you can go up here to the select tab, right click it and select all. And then you're going to go into the size. You're just going to left click this one and you're going to copy the width of your drawing and hit OK. Then you're going to go down to your copy tab and it's asking you where you want to copy the start point from. So I want to start at the beginning of my lead in. So I'm going to go and I say I want to start down here. So I'm going to click at the start of my lead in. Now it's showing me I've selected where I want to start. Down here where it says length and angle, I'm going to paste the width that I just copied, and my angle, I want to go in the 0 degree, so 0, and I'm going to hit OK. Now it's going to ask me how many additional copies I want. I want 3. Keep in mind that's going to exceed your 12 by 12, but just as a reference. Hit OK. Now I've got 3. I want to deselect that last bit. And what I want to do, now I want to go up. So height. I'm going to select it all again. I'm going to choose my size. I'm going to copy the height of my part. Hit copy. Then I'm going to go into the copy tab. And I want to select the start point of my very first one. So at the end, E is for endpoint. So E on your keyboard and select the endpoint of that. Now I've got my copies. And I'm going to paste the length that I copied from the size. Now, this is another thing you've got to pay attention to. If I was to copy just the exact length that I just copied right now, my lines are going to butt up against each other, which is going to throw the part completely off because now I got a line on top of a line, which it's not going to know where to cut, where to start. It's going to confuse the system. So you want to leave yourself a little bit of a gap. So I can go in here and I'm just going to adjust it. And then where the angle, we're going 90 degrees up. Hit OK. And I want 1 copy. Oops. I didn't do that right. Paste this in here. Okay, there we go. I think I deleted a number in there or something. So now I've got multiple copies. Now how do I connect these two? Well, my endpoint right here for my main part stops. So I want to select a line. So L on your keyboard is line at the endpoint of your traverse line. And then I'm going to go all the way up to my start point. You're not? I think you're lagged. You guys might be a little lagged.
Yeah, I'm seeing a video gap as well, folks. Not sure. Did you,
Nope, I didn't pause it. It says click here to stop. I've paused it now. Let's resume it. Can anybody see me? Can anyone see my cursor moving around?
we have confirmation that you can't see the video continuation.
We just lost video.
This is on ProtoMAX. It's WebEx. So I don't know, folks.
Can you guys still hear us? No.
I think we may know. What happened here. Somehow it defaulted from just a means to generate. Now, the last one you want to present.
Well, it says I'm in right here.
Play some music while we're going through the technical change. Let's see if I can figure this out here. Oh, here we go. Now. You're back.
All right, I'm back.
I should have audio now.
So
now it's just defaulted.
minor difficulties. So again, we have our multiple drawings we've done. Now to connect the two on top, we're going to go in, select line. L is for line, E is for endpoint, and we're going to draw all the way to the starting point of our top level. And you connect it to the end, and there it is. If you want more, you can always go assign 5 at once, 6 at once, so on and so forth. You'll do the same thing to post it. You'll click at the end point of your very first one, and there it goes. It's a quick way to do it. And then you'll save it as whatever you want. Here, I'm not going to save it because I don't need it. And that's that. Now we'll like to go into some questions if anybody's got any.
Yeah. Comments on difficulties. Let's see here. There was a question on sometimes, let's see, a question on clean feature. You answered a question on clean feature. And not sure the specifics on that. Maybe you can just in general talk about the clean.
Yeah, okay. So I'm going to start a new one here. Let's go back to our original.
And while Jessica's doing that, any folks that want to get the data of the Etch quality software, it is just the latest version that has the quality. You can overlay anything that you currently have, and as long as you're comfortable with it, by just downloading the current version. It won't replace anything. You can add additional features. But if you feel uncomfortable with that, you can always save the latest version. Send me your email. Just send me an email with your company name and your name if it's not obvious on the email to dave.fuller@omax.com or any of the emails that you may have that you currently send information to us on.
Okay, so the clean feature. So I went ahead while Dave was talking and I kind of deleted some lines that I want there, but I want my clean option to clean up. Couple things you have to bear in mind when using the clean feature. You have to have your qualities assigned, and you cannot have your lead in and your traverse lines and lead out lines assigned first. You have to assign a quality, do clean, and then follow up with your lead in and lead outs. So my drawing is complete. This is what I want. This is my end product. So now I'm going to go in and clean it. So clean it. Here are my preset settings. I'm okay with these. Hit start. And it's telling me that there were, oh, I think it deleted. So it deleted my box thinking I didn't want my box there because there were too many gaps in it. So clearly I can see that there are gaps. So knowing that, I can hit J is for join, and I can click my gap and it'll join them. Same thing down here. J for join, click my gap. Now if there was a tiny, tiny little gap that you could not see, the clean, look, there's a gap in there, we can't see it anymore. The clean feature will detect this and clean that. There are 3 unnecessary dots removed, and there was 1 gap identified, closed, and clean. So if I was just drawing this and I skipped the cleaning process, I would have never known there was a gap. Now if I went and tried to path this, that's when I'm going to know that there are some silly thing going on with my drawing, because it identified when I hit auto path, it identified that, wait a minute, it wants to start up here, traverse up here, go around, and then come back out again. That right there is telling me something is definitely wrong with my drawing. I've got extra lines in there. I've got a gap. In this case, we have got a gap. So I can go back to auto path, right click it, remove my, erase my lead in and traverse lines. And then that's when I go back up to clean again, clean it, and it'll tell me that it has identified gaps and removed 1 of them. Now I can go back into auto path, and that's the way it should look. We've got a starting point, goes in, cuts your circle first, and then comes out and cut your box afterwards. I did see in the comments that somebody was saying that they want to cut on the outside of the circle rather than the inside of the circle. Sometimes the software gets a little bit confused because it's thinking you want to do one thing when you really want to do another. So the easy way around this is right click on your lead in and lead outs right here, and it says swap lead directions. So if we do this for our circle, and you just click on any one of the lead in or lead out lines. Now when I go in to post it, you're going to see that it's cutting on the outside of the circle rather than the inside of the circle. So I'll show you again. So before I made any changes, let's go back to see what it looks like. I'm going to post it. You're going to select your start point. And if you can tell, it's cutting on the inside of my circle. I don't want that. I want it to cut on the outside. So again, you go into your lead in, lead outs, you right click it, and you say swap lead directions. And then you just simply click on the lead in or lead out line. And then you go into post it, select your start point, and you can tell that it's now cutting the outside of our circle. And you just save it and you go on your way.
There were two more questions. One had to do with adding a cut to a part that's already been cut. Somebody has backward control depth and grading. I think controlling depth and grading or etching had to do with going to X data. Do you have the opportunity to show that?
So here's the deal. There's no controlled depth on etching. It's either gonna, you can assign a fast quality what's gonna zip through it, but say you want to use thinner material, which we don't really recommend. There's no way to say I only want to go. Say I'm cutting. I got a half inch of aluminum, and I only want to go etch a 1/4 inch of it. There's no way to tell it to cut a specific depth of it.
I think you can use the X data function to look and
Yeah, you can adjust the speeds, which may allow it to barely nick the material, but there's no real control over it. Whatever you get is whatever you get. You can't specify a certain depth.
right, you can't specify depth, but you can specify speed.
Yeah.
So
I don't have the X data on here, so I can't show.
if we don't have the X data available, we'll make sure that that's part of the instruction set that we send out to you. The other question that I alluded to was a very good question. So you've cut a part for a customer who comes back and says, let's say it's a square with a hole in the center that you have here. I want you to take the part. I'm sending the part back to you, and I want you to put another circle in it.
Yeah. So it really depends. So say Dave's our customer and he wants another circle in here. So you can simply go and select the circle and just add to it. I'm going to put a center of here, 0.2, and hit OK. So now I've added a circle to it. You again have to assign a quality to your circle. And then the easiest way for me to do this is just auto path it again. And it'll pick up my circle.
So I think the question is where do you position that part so that it's going to be able to cut in the area that you want to add that additional cut. And that circle you added is inside the center of the circle that's already cut out.
Oh, yeah. So the only way you're going to be able to determine, so most likely if you got to do a revision for a customer, you're probably having to cut a brand new part all over again. I don't think you're going to take a pre-existing one. The only way to really do this is to align it up to cut a pre-existing part is to make sure your nozzle is set. A lot of people start at the bottom left corner of the machine. Then they put the material in, so you can do some math to determine where this particular part is aligned to where you need to start cutting to cut another circle. But you simply just add whatever components you need into the drawing and repath it, resave it, and you've got new features within your drawing. Does that answer your question? Nope.
And if it doesn't, then we know. Yeah, we see. So the person asked me, yeah, no, that doesn't answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see that there's a specific amount of money that was required that you have to the best thing to do for that individual is let's at a lot of the parameters here. So we know who you are, and we'll get back to you.
And to answer Matt's question, when I put that circle in, it did find dead center. So how I was able to do that, I'm going to remove these lead in and lead outs just to see a little bit better. But so I have my circle, and all I've got to do is, if I want another circle, circles are easier to work with, but I just choose center, and it's going to choose the center of my circle is right there, and we're good. Make it as big as you want, hit OK, and you're in the center. Is there any more questions? Oh, yeah, let's see. On a side note, just real quick while I get to the cheat sheets, the quick deals, if at any point that you guys have any issues and you need to send us a tech report, there are some people that are unaware of this, but if you go into the help tab, there is a create report for technical support. If you just click on this, it'll ask you to put in some basic information and then specify kind of a little bit briefly of what's going on with your machine. And then you can email it directly to us. You don't have to, if you're online. If you're not online, you can save it to a USB thumb drive and then email it to us direct from a separate computer that is online. So that's quick and easy. Always a good resource to know when you're having some issues. Is somewhere. I got to remember how to get there. Okay, so it was right in front of my face. So it's under help and reference where I was. And if you just click on show keyboard equivalents, it has all kinds of equivalents, E for endpoint, and so on and so forth.
Oh, cool.
And there's a whole list of them. You can add and edit some of these as well. I know you can add some to make them quick and easy for you. So that's always a good one. It definitely helps you out when you're drawing. It's a lot quicker than going back all the way to the left-hand side and selecting something. So.
Oh, I'm glad you asked that. Let's see. And then there was the comment about you want to have your path start in your machine home.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
And then zoom in and zoom out.
Well, is that, if you can comment,
Wait.
was that?
Oh, yeah. So if you, for your starting point and ending point, if you're at 0, 0, re-register your part, in the material, you cut the part.
When people start at 0, 0.
Yeah, you've got to, I would probably put a sacrificial material in before you definitely started cutting to know exactly where you're at. But you could pretty much line it up relatively closely if you just.
If you record your path start, part and you put it into the same equivalent position.
Yeah, but so hypothetically, if you've got a 12 by 12 sheet of material that you put in your ProtoMAX to cut and your part's 11.5 by 11.5, then you're missing a 1/2 inch on both sides. So you would have to offset that by a 1/2 inch to be able to find exactly where you started from. And then you could start from that point.
So always record where the path was. Would appear to be a way of doing that. But we'll think on that further. Thanks for that suggestion.
Zoom in and zoom out is glitchy. I don't know if I've experienced glitchiness. You may want to, I don't know what version of software you're using. We are currently on 32. I would strongly encourage everyone to update their software pretty frequently, because from time to time we do have some important bugs that we fix within our software. If you're running 27, I would definitely and strongly recommend you updating your software. Where you go to find that is within Make. Bought machine in January, so I'm guessing if you haven't updated your software, you're probably running version 27.
You can tell the version you're on.
This error message is telling me I'm not hooked up to a live machine. I just hit ignore.
So two things, we'll tell you where to go see the version you're on and then how to download this.
So if you go into help and you go about and check for updates, and after it loads, it's going to tell you right here, my software version is 32. So I'm updated. Disregard all the other stuff because it's just, I'm not hooked up to a live machine, so it looks a little bit off.
We have versions 32, patch 1, patch 2, etc. So if you have maybe in 31, what part of January, but if you're in 32, you may not be at the latest patch.
Okay, and then here we are going to show you how to update your software. Again, it's unlimited seats of software, so you can have it on multiple computers if you'd like to work offline and then transfer your stuff onto the laptop that operates the ProtoMAX. So if you go to protomax.com, and right here on the right-hand side, you'll find the menu button. Within the menu button, there's a software tab. Select that. You'll go down to the near bottom, and then it says download software. You simply click on that. It's going to ask you for a language preference. Choose your language of your liking, and then hit download, and then follow the prompts from there. You do not have to worry about removing your current software. It'll automatically do that for you. Please keep in mind, once you update your software, it will require you to do a reboot on the computer. So save any existing work that you may have open before you start your software.
When I say
it saves it to, so if you just go, let me see if I can do this real quick. If you just go to File, you open, I don't want to save it. Here is going to have your hubs, and right here, my E drive is my USB driver. So you're just going to select that, where it's going to bring up your files that are currently listed on your USB driver, and then you just pick whatever file you have.